Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of CATIA Design User Talk, the space where design vision meets real innovation. Today we're going to dive into something truly inspiring, the kind of project that just remind us why we love engineering and design. We'll explore CATIA Creative Design, a new concept design approach with CATIA on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, and how our experts turns Raffaello Bruno's sketch of the cafe racer into a high-quality, fully adaptable 3D model using the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And today, I have the biggest pleasure to welcome on stage my three guests, Laura Peythieux, Felix Rockel, Julien Lachichi, our CATIA Design Industry Expert Specialist. Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Hello,
Magna.
Magna.
It's good to see you. Thank you once again for your time. It's always a pleasure to welcome you on stage. As usual, I will ask you to introduce yourself for those who don't know you. Perhaps first, Laura.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Peythieux. I'm a CATIA Design and Engineering Expert based in Aix-en-Provence, France.
Thank you, Laura. Felix.
Hello, my name is Felix Rockel. I'm based in Hamburg in Germany. I'm with CATIA for 10 years and I'm a designer by education.
Thank you, Felix. And to finish, Julien.
Hello everyone, my name is Julien Lachichi. I'm part of the IPS team at Dassault Systèmes and I'm CLASA surfacing expert. I'm in Vélizy.
Thank you to the three of you. As usual, I would like to remind our viewers that they can reach out to us in the chat during the session by asking their question. And at the end of the talk, we'll take some time to answer them. I will not waste more time. Let's dive into this really interesting topic. Guys, you have the mic.
Thank you, Magna. So yes, today together we will go through a concept design phase of a project. So really the idea of starting by an idea, how to turn it into 3D in the more efficient way to really create and create variants and start ideation. So we will go through our new concept design approach using CATIA on 3DEXPERIENCE platform with my colleague Julien and Felix. So the project started with a team of 5 people dispatched across all Europe, all with his own expertise and a specialty. Raffaello Bruno, the designer of our team, did a sketch, and our job was to create the 3D out of it. So this is the sketch on the right, and we managed in a very few time to create a concept. For that, we use a 3DEXPERIENCE platform from the start. We decided to use the 3D as a common language from the ideation phase. For that, you will see that we started from the sketch and we created curves and geometry in 3D. And this will be the starting point and the reference for everybody on the project to work on. So from this phase, every other steps are parallelized. Concept creation, advanced surface modeling, detailed design, all was made at the same time using the 3D as reference and working in a single data model for everybody to collaborate, see and use the different parts. So let's start by the beginning of the project, in fact. So Raffaello starting in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform from the start in a dashboard. He gathered all the design thinking, all the design process that everybody in the project could see. And then we can go directly into 3D, importing its sketch, doing the scaling to have the good proportion from the start, and even adding a human for basic proportion and even basic ergonomics to start with the right shapes from the very, very early stage. And then we can start by making 3D. You can do 3D in VR like I've just made with one click to go from VR to desktop and back and forth. You can create 3D curves and you can modify those curves. You can do it in desktop mode or in VR mode. Really, it's completely seamless. So these are the curves. You can also create surfaces in VR. So it is really nice because you can really use your body to shape the main surfaces. The idea is really to make the reference surface that will drive the precise modeling afterwards. In VR or in desktop mode, you can retrieve precision tools, subdivision tools, that will allow you to be more precise and to fine-tune the model. The tools are the same in desktop or in VR. The only difference is the interface that will really depend on the device you are using. But the idea is the same, adding attraction, moving points, etc. Designing in context will allow to create basic volumes to adapt for a user-centric approach. And VR could also help you do review with annotation at any stage of the process with all the team to annotate, work, review, and do modification in real time. VR is really how the 3D becomes the common language for everyone. So this was, sorry for that, this was the start of the project. From this stage, after that, like I said before, everything is parallelized. Concept creation, advanced surface modeling, and detailed design are really done at the same time in 3 different locations. The idea is really to mix the technologies together for putting the right technology at the right place and mixing everything in a single hybrid model. I will focus on first on the concept creation using our last application, Creative Design Experience, our subdivision modeling application. So we start with the 3D curve network or the surfaces that I've created to be sure that I respect the designer intent. And then here we will focus on the black part to create really quickly a surface that match the idea. In this application, you can take curve and in one click, you can create surfaces out of curves. You can change parameter, configure any object at any time. The idea is really to be flexible and efficient. You can, of course, move the points, sculpt like you are doing in a classical subdivision world, but you can do it with natural gesture, with gesture-based manipulation that allow very easily to move the points. And you can combine that with precision tools for snapping points, moving into local mesh lines, but really combining everything all at once to be really free in your sculpting. You can retrieve all the classical tools of a subdivision software, like adding attraction to control the surface and pinch it precisely where you need to, like that. One thing interesting in this application is the link between curve and surface. You can modify curves and surfaces the same way with natural gesture and so on. And more than that, there is a link between the input curves and the surface. I'm moving the curve, I'm deforming the curve. It impacts the surface I just created from those curves. We've seen how to sculpt a surface. Of course, you can edit the mesh. You can add faces, edges, and so on to make it grow. And you can switch between mesh edition and sculpting with really powerful and productive accelerators and immersive manipulators. The idea is really to stay focused on the shape and not on the interface anymore. The curve here were used as input for the first part. It can also be used, they can also be used as reference to project points on and to be sure at each step that we respect our designer intent represented by those curves. Mixing those tools together, so sculpting, alignment, mesh edition, etc., with the productive accelerators, you can really easily shape the surface you need, in fact. And the idea is really to stay flexible and to allow to any user to find his own way of working. We don't want to impose a way of working, but we give all the tools anybody could use in his own modeling way. So here you see that is really easy and really focus on the shape to sculpt. On objects in Creative Design Experience, you can add behavior, we are calling them modifiers, to add details and complexity to an object. You have different kind of modifiers. You have the visual modifier that will allow very simply and with very good performance to duplicate an object, like with a pattern or with a symmetry. It's only visual. It's just visual. But we have also geometric modifiers. And these geometric modifiers will impact the final surface. Here you see that a G2 connection was computed at the symmetry plane. It's not visual anymore. It's really creating geometry. You will understand better with another geometric modifier, the bevel, that will allow to enrich a mesh line to create junction gaps on the mesh line. So this modifier is here created. So you see that in the gray lines, the mesh were detailed. You can modify at any time the parameters and the profile of the bevel. So you can do very, very complex things. Here I'm creating a real gap between the two parts. And what is nice is that even if I added complexity, the shape I'm modifying is still the original one, which means that I can still do changes. I can still sculpt my original global shape, and all the details will be updated afterwards. So it allows to create details at any step of the process and not anymore in the end, and see the impact of the detail on the shape. So you see that in minutes, it's possible to create a shape that respects the designer intent and is ready to share with the other project members. So we've seen how I did the part with Subdivision. At the same time, it's really important, at the same time, Julien was working on advanced surface modeling in ICEM Design Experience for making the top part of the motorbike. Julien?
Yes. So after Laura's presentation, let me introduce ICEM Design Experience, our latest solution on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. This solution is designed to unify the CAS and CLASA modeling communities. The goal here is to bring both modeling philosophies together in a single environment. It supports curve and surface-based workflow, works seamlessly with both NURBS and Bezier surfaces. This offers soft parametric updates for maximum flexibility and efficiency. As you can see, the user experience has been redesigned completely. Every command are accessible through a mouse menu for faster interaction, with a UI focused on the key needs of surface modelers. We also provide two navigation modes, ICEM Surf Navigation and CATIA Classical Navigation. And of course, being fully integrated in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, we can load mechanical data and work directly in context. Let's look at a concrete example, this modeling of motorcycle tank. We follow the Classica modeling workflow by creating curve on top view of 3D sketches. We can import sketches, scan, and other external reference. The objective here is to build a curve network for the tank. I start by drawing and trimming the curves using the mouse menu for all commands. Once the main curves are defined, I switch in the top view to adjust them. Then I create connection constraints to maintain dependencies between my curves. This ensures that the modification remains fast, consistent, and fully reversible. Next, I mirror the curves to guarantee the continuity across the Y0, and from here, I begin to create the surfaces. For each surfaces, I can choose whatever it should remain dependent on its curve, giving me the flexibility to work either parametrically or explicitly. Using the OmniShape, I shape the surface directly, adjusting curvature, refining highlight, and controlling how the surfaces are associated. I create the tank surface step by step, selecting surface, edge, and curves. Again, all changes remain reversible. At any moment, I can switch geometries between parametric and explicit mode. This is where we clearly see the advantage of the surface associativity. The system maintains dependency across all modeling steps. To illustrate this, let's look with the fillets. So I create the fillets one by one using OmniFillet. Here I choose chordal fillet of 10 in curvature. But of course, there is other possibilities for the fillets. You can put true radius fillet, variable fillet. Everyone are available. So then I trim the main surface using OmniCut, which combine trim and face capabilities selection compared to ICEM Surf. For the corners, I draw the blend curves to cut the fillets, and then I use OmniSurf by selecting the 4 surrounding edge to create my corners. Inside the same command, I can directly set the continuity for each edge without having to reconnect them manually. So we can see it after. So when creating the corners, you can set the continuity for you can create the continuity for each edge. It's very fast. Once all the surfaces are assembled, you can see that if I decide to move a surface of the entire model, it can update the model directly thanks to the parametric possibilities. In the same way, if I apply the modification to control point and I edit it, I can shape on surface and the rest of the model react consistently. Finally, you can see a preview of a complete tank model, a clean, fully associative hybrid class A surface model that remains easy to modify at any stage. That's all for my part. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Julien. So we've seen how I've made the body in Subdivision, how Julien used advanced surface modeling for the tank. And now we'll see that Felix, in parallel, could work on the air vent that goes through the two previous surfaces with visual scripting.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Yes, here you can already see on my screen. So here we have the surface input coming from Laura, the Subdi surface created with Creative Design Experience. And then here we have the Bézier Class A surface from Julien, created with ICEM Design Experience. So two different modeling approaches, but of course all in CATIA. So I can put my detail now with visual scripting right on top of those surfaces within the same assembly. Yeah, we all working in parallel. So I create a design sequence in visual scripting, then I get access to this graph editor that you see on the right, and here I can create my operators, those little nodes that I can connect with each other in order to generate my structure, my algorithm. So here you see on the left that I use the input operator and get the surfaces from Laura and Julien inside of my graph. And then, yeah, I can use several nodes in order to create this detailed structure for the air intake. The idea was to have a design with lots of little elements that can open and close depending on how much cooling is needed for the engine. So that you see me creating this exactly right here. So I have a sort of a hexagonal structure that I project then onto the surfaces from Laura and Julien. And then you see here, of course, my entire algorithm is fully parametric, so I can change each and every parameter at any time, trying out different variants here with this curve evaluator, for example. I can change the rotation of those little elements and depending on this, yeah, let more or less air into the engine. And then we have also in visual scripting an experiments tab or feature, and there I can access all the parameters that you see in the graph, but I have it more clean and nice, so I don't need to search in the graph where is which parameter. I have it all accessible here, and then I can see create some snapshots. You can see that on top there in the right window, those snapshots that I can create. So once I decided for a design, I can go to product perception experience, which is our application to create design presentations directly on top of our CATIA assembly. So this is the real CATIA data that you see. So I can change it at any time and it will be also updated in my presentation. So here I'm reviewing and presenting this idea with this structural element for the air intake. I can put the bike in context with a human driver. I can switch through different variants. I can switch through different colors for the different materials in order to present my bike in this example. Yeah, and with this, I want to give the hand back to Laura.
Yes, thank you, Felix.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of this stage, we have our full concept that is created with the three of us working collaboratively. We are in concept phase, so the idea is really to make variants very easily, to be creative, to test some things, and we can do each of us in our part of the process. But we can do it also in a more global way, using, as we were based on the same object, we could move globally all those parts at the same time. Here we recorded a call that we've made together, and Julien is modifying a curve that was used for the creation of our parts. So Julien is doing the modification. He will go to dispatch this modification to all the parts, just updating everything. So all the parts will be updated, Subdi, Bezier, and even the visual scripting on top, as everything is linked together in a hybrid model. So here you see that the modification is made for all the parts together. It's not accelerated, it's real time here. Felix can get in his own session and check if there are updates. If they are, he will update his model to have the last version on his session 2. And then he will be able to seamlessly go to product perception experience, the experience he already made, have this new variant, and we can then review together this variant, compare with other version we already did, and so on. The idea is really to stay flexible, no matter how advanced is the model. So here we are going to product perception experience to see the result, and we can go back and forth between the different versions we already made. So we've made the tour of our concept modeling process. You've seen how we worked collaboratively across all Europe together, putting the right expertise and the right technology at the right place. The idea is really to be creative and efficient and to create variants very easily. Afterwards, when we selected all a variant, we can push it to further into the process, going to engineering, manufacturing stuff, because all the surface we are creating, even at the concept phase, is compatible with the other with all the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Laura, Felix, and Julien. It was a very insightful presentation, and I think it really gave us a clear perspective of the topic. So thank you for that. Now we will move on to our Q&A session. So please, once again, take advantage of our experts' presence to ask your question in the chat. We will answer them. I can see that we already have some positive feedback, such as inspiring project, that's amazing. The integration of different CATIA tools sounds powerful for flexible collaborative design. Thank you for that. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask your questions. Perhaps the first one, you talk about collaborative work, but is it possible to restrict access if needed?
Should I take this one? So yeah, of course. So here in this example, we were really using basically or giving full access to everybody, so we can fully work fully collaborative, all in the same assembly. But of course, you can restrict access rights. You can lock your data. I, for example, could have locked my data, so Laura and Julien could just see it, but never edit it themselves. So yeah, you have full control there.
Thank you, Felix. Another question for you guys. Is it possible to reuse the air vent pattern in another project?
Yeah, okay, I think this is also towards my direction. So absolutely, we can create libraries. We do this as well within our team. Libraries where we share then materials. For example, we have in our team an expert for materials. He is creating all the materials for the whole team, making them really look really beautiful and perfect. So we can just reuse his materials and assign it to all of our models. And as well with the visual scripting structures that maybe an expert user would create. Everybody that has access to those libraries would be able to, assign them on their models, and just assign it with an input. It works in a similar fashion as with a Power Copy for the CATIA users that are listening. Yeah.
I can see that we have another question in the chat. Is it possible for individual learners, not companies, to get training and obtain official 3DEXPERIENCE learning licenses or certifications?
Maybe Laura, do you want to take one?
I don't know
I
if
can
I
also
take that. Yeah, you can answer that.
Should I? Okay. So
if you want.
Yeah, so of course you can get in touch with one of us, for example. Of course, it's possible to get test licenses, and also we are available to give trainings. We have dedicated communities that you can also join, where you will find lots of training materials. And also there are lots of experts present in those communities that can answer your questions, support you with your problems. Yeah.
I can add that for CATIA Design, we have also a YouTube channel with videos and tutorials that you can find freely there. And for visual scripting, there is a community of users that share their sequences and algorithm. That Felix told you before, that you can really easily reuse an existing design sequence that you've made in your project, but it's also true from a design sequence that is sent by anybody. So in this community, you can have ideas and share with peers about ideas and models to use in your own project.
Thank you, Laura and Felix. Perhaps question. How do you see this approach evolving with emerging technologies?
So it's a good question. In 26X, our new release, Dassault System released some AI in his as beta feature in his release. So you will have new tools to improve your processes. I can't go through all the tools just now, but you have tools for engineering in Sketcher, in the GSD, for example, but also some nice things for design and the creative part. To really easily create meshes out of a picture, one picture, and then you have a meshes you can use as a reference for starting your modeling. And you have also some magnifiers with the picture, so you have your first concept really rough, and then you can screenshot it and use AI to do some test of visualization, ambience, and so on. It's pretty new, so we have to test it ourselves and to have fun with it. But I hope in the future CATIA Talk we will talk to you about that.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for the answers. I think it's now time to close the Q&A session for today. Thank you once again, Laura, Felix, and Julien, for your time, participation. Thank you also to all of you who watched this CATIA User Talk today. I hope that you found the talk informative, insightful. Once again, to access everything you need about this CATIA User Talk, please don't hesitate to visit our CATIA Design and Styling community. You will find the replay of this talk on the dedicated post, some tutorials, best practices, but also you will have the possibility to ask a question to our expert directly in the community. And if you haven't joined yet, please just simply create an account with your email address and a password. Also, I will ask you to please give us your feedback. It will help us to improve our next episode of CATIA Design User Talk. I hope to see you again at our next episode. Until then, I wish you to have a wonderful holiday seasons and see you next year. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.